Once again, my name is B Walk and welcome back to Copy Your Coin, where I show you how to copy your coin in the fastest growing market in world history. Today I'm going to talk about Cardano and where it's been going in the first quarter and where we're going to head, where we consider to go here in the second quarter. There's some technical aspects to this discussion. We're going to talk about the charts. And we're also going to talk about fundamentally what's been happening with Cardano. There's been a lot of positive news as of late, and actually Cardano kind of preceded the overall cryptocurrency market and pushing higher. It moved higher before Bitcoin did, actually. And that's not surprising to me because there's some great news about it. So without further ado, I'm going to get into that. But already you already know I'm going to ask you to do three things. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that alert button so that you know when fresh content is out from Copy Your Coin. All right, let's get into it. So as you already know, I always start off with cryptocurrency markets and see where we are currently. And right now the market cap is about 140 billion. And we have Bitcoin here holding steadily at about $5,236. The next resistance for Bitcoin is going to be about 6,000. So as we look down here, scan here, and lo and behold, Cardano is in the top 10. It was a little higher, actually, I think, at one time. But we're holding steady here at 0.085, so just below 9 cents. And was it a market cap, basically, of 122 million? And that's circulating pretty well. And I'm sorry, market cap at 2.2 billion and the volume 122 million. So anyway, Cardano is doing well. Like I said, it preceded the market. We're having a little bit of pullback, but that's okay. I'm actually pretty good with that. I expect the market not to go, nothing goes straight up. Like trees don't go straight to the moon, and nothing goes straight up to the sky like that. You have to have, quite frankly, I'd rather not be hyperbolic and just a stair step move higher and higher, which I imagine that we are going to see here as we go forward. So as we jump into the charts real quick, let's take a look at Cardano since we're talking about it. So as you see, I've drawn a lot of lines here. I'll try to walk you through some of these. Don't worry about these purples here. Obviously, these are no longer in effect. As you can see, as we moved into the second quarter, Cardano had a big move higher as we got past the 200 period moving average. And I noticed that period has been traveling down lower and lower for quite some time. And we had a meet right here at the end of the month of March, got past that, and we got moved much higher. So moved all the way up to all the way up to 10 cents actually above that, and pulled back some. That's okay. Like I said, I think we're going to settle in somewhere around the support about 0.085, 0.086. Trade sideways for a little bit, and I think we're going to make another retest, try to get past there, try to move higher. Eventually getting back to, I don't know, maybe 15 cents. We'll see. That could be in the cards. I don't know how soon. But as you can see, the volume was strong in the move higher, and that's what you like to see. You like to see the volume uptick strong, strong green, strong green, strong green. And then when it subsides a little bit, you have the red, a little bit of minor selling. That's fine. Sign up a healthy market. So that's exactly what you want to see when you're looking at the particular technical analysis. If we look real quick at the big dog, so to speak, of Bitcoin, as you can see, like I said, Cardano started moving a little faster than Bitcoin, because you remember Cardano was moving here about the 30th, 31st. It was already moving higher. Bitcoin had yet to break out, and then it did here at the beginning of April. And as you see, it's moved higher and higher. And Bitcoin, like I said, the next major resistance is probably going to be somewhere about that 6,000 range. So we'll see what happens when it gets there. But right now, the markets generally are fairly bullish, and as I said earlier in videos, this is a bottoming process. So please don't expect that you think everything's just going to go up and jump in with both hands, buying. No, that's not the deal. I want you to be a shrewd investor. So you got to pick your spots, be patient, have opportunities to accumulate. Hopefully you were accumulating down here in the last few months, because that was the time to do it, especially when we look at the Cardano at ADA specifically, and you can see right here, there's a lot of time to buy. If you bought here, be patting yourself on the back. That's a great buy. Buy here, you doubled your money. You buy here, you doubled your money. You doubled your money. So even here, needless to say, I think Cardano's going to go much higher than this, and there's going to be an opportunity to double your money even at this level. Okay, so we're going to jump into some of the fundamental news, like I said. And I'm going to start off with Charles Hoskinson takes aim at Ethereum and EOS. Now that's a little misleading. It's not like he's actually bringing them down, but he's talking about the idea of basically that cryptocurrency projects need to be set up so that it's more of a decentralized thought process, and getting away from the top down, the lone samurai, this crack team, this crack engineering team that's going to be able to solve all these problems. In reality, he says problems, big problems, large problems, like the one we're dealing with now, as far as with finance and going into getting away from fiat and more to a more ubiquitous currency that can be used worldwide, are solved collectively. That's solved collaboratively. And he makes a great point on that. So hopefully EOS and Ethereum are looking at that as well. This article just talks a little bit more about what we need to be doing, where we need to be focusing. And then again, like I said, this is the first time ever where we're flirting with the idea of a corporation without a CEO or a country without a president. That is a very big challenge, and it's something I think will consume the majority of the 21st century of the cryptocurrency space. Again, here's goes a little line here. If you look, excuse me, he says now he finds fault in Ethereum Vitalik's Buterin and EOS Dan Larimer for promoting a lone samurai viewpoint, which also ties back to his earlier opinion on decentralization. Again, it's the idea that one brilliant founder, whether it be Dan or Vitalik, will lead a small group of crack engineers to somehow innovate and solve a big problem. Nothing gets done that way. And that's true. If you look in your past and history, we always have a collaborative for large issues. It's not one team, not one country, not one situation. It's typically a collaborative effort that comes together and puts different pieces together for everyone to benefit. So that's what we're going to have to do here. And hopefully we move towards that. Okay, so as we look at another article, and again, like I said, all the time, my article is going to be down in the comment section below. So please, right there, you'll be able to see it in the description. We'll take a look here at Cardano Emergo taking steps to make Cardano the king of STOs. And what are STOs, you might say, B-Walk? Well, STOs are security token offerings. From their peak in 2017, ICOs have been on the decline. The ICO game is dead. That's because most of them are scams and do not comply with regulations. And the space is going to have to be regulated. I agree with that. But with the fast growth of STOs, which is secure token offerings, and I talked about one late last month on my channel, platform blockchains that take the lead in this market will see huge increases in value. That is why Emergo is taking the steps to position Cardano as a blockchain for STOs as a big deal. So if you remember back in January, Emergo had made a strategic investment in Y2X and a move to drive the adoption of Cardano. Y2X is a tech investment platform that aims to bridge the gap between the digital economy and the mainstream financial markets. So Y2X has a global mandate to help companies raise capital to do some of the most innovative things in the world. This is done primarily through issuing security tokens. Cardano will become the protocol of choice for Y2X and its portfolio firms to enhance the usage of technology, especially in the field of regulated STOs, therefore providing an increased value add to ADA. If Emergo manages to push Cardano to the top of the STO market, it will be a huge win for Cardano. It could give Cardano gains similar to those of Ethereum at the height of the ICO mania. The only difference is that STOs are more sustainable, which means Cardano's rise could also be more sustainable. So this article goes on to say that Cardano could possibly go up by double digits and $10, $20, $30, $40 a coin. That let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think that we're building block by block as Cardano becomes more decentralized, and that's the one part we're looking for. So Shelly should be coming out here, I imagine, here soon, and Guggenheim also right behind it. Those are going to be lockstep in tandem. And for those of you in the audience that don't remember, Shelly is what helps Cardano become decentralized, and that's what's going to set up for the staking pools for those of us who hold Cardano. So this has been a long time coming. But I think part of the move that you saw with the price action is been anticipating the fact that Cardano has laid out a roadmap and has been following it and has been executing. Yes, it may have been delayed at one point or another, but eventually that delay is taken care of and we move forward. Hats off to Cardano and the whole Emergo and IOHK, the whole blockchain team, because they're doing a great job so far. And I don't see why that's going to stop anytime soon. The final article I want to talk to you about is this one in particular. This one was a few days ago, and I had been looking at it for a while. But this is kind of goes back to what I talked about in another video also as well, just about the fact that cryptocurrency, yes, it's a great investment opportunity for those of us in the West, but it also is an opportunity to bank the unbanked. And there are a lot of nations and a lot of areas that have not been able to keep up so far. They haven't followed us through the industrial revolution and then into the information age. So this is an opportunity right here to take advantage of that. And this article talks about it. So the world is undergoing a technological development at an unprecedented explosive pace, considered the fourth industrial revolution. With this exponential growth will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. I agree with that statement. And if you look real quick here, we talk about this chart, and you can see right away with just looking here at the monitor. I mean, look how many countries are underbanked. They're underbanked or unbanked, who do not use formal or semi-formal financial services. That is a great deal of nations. So literally 80% in sub-Saharan Africa, 65% in Latin America. I mean, you see the numbers, 59% in East Asia and South Asia. And again, remember that the cryptocurrency really started from the East. So it has moved this way, and we've kind of circulated, as you see, it's growing. But there are a lot of opportunities here. And this article specifically is concentrating on the continent of Africa. And what I want to draw your attention to is, so you have a couple of projects that brings to light. So Sila Labs, over 13 million barrels of crude oil have been spilled into the Niger Delta since 1958. So there's details that a problem that's been happening, a devastating effect for freshwater and fishing. With Nigeria's population at 15% of all Africa and 1/6 of that population living in the Delta, the average age is only 18 years old, creating a crisis by any standard. Enter Chai Nandi, the American-born grandson of the former mayor of Port Harcourt, known as the oil capital of Africa. Raised in Canada and the U.S., his life took an unexpected twist when he decided to leave his career at MTV and focus on solving the problem in Niger Delta. So as you see, this young man has taken on quite the challenge to say that I'm going to go in here and I'm going to help. And he figured out that it was a problem that was not scientific, as organic solutions for the spills were readily available. Rather, it was a problem of information and capital traveling to the right sources. This was most evident in an $84 million settlement won by the village of Bodo from Shell in 2015, most of which got lost in distribution. And that's a shame of it. So you have some corruption there. My core thesis is that the government of the 21st century will have a challenge keeping up with the expedition of their growing beneficiary base. The population is growing so fast that the leaders' old practices are not sustainable. People need to get together and collaborate across borders and across tribes, says Chai Nandi, founder at Sila. So that's one. Walla is another one. Walla is Africa has long battled with the price stability in its fiat currencies. And so you have an issue where there's a lot of, I think Zimbabwe in particular, is they've had to buy one loaf of bread, use a duffel bag of money. Right? Can you imagine bringing a whole bunch of U.S. dollars to buy one bag or one loaf at the grocery store? That's ridiculous. So one of the short-term things they did was the M-Pesa. The most successful answer today has been the M-Pesa, where mobile characters stepped in and took the role of the centralized financial node by allowing locals in Kenya to buy and sell minutes, bringing millions into the financial ecosystem. However, M-Pesa and its equivalents have missed the mark in one core element, disproportionately charging fees on the smallest transactions and therefore disincentivizing the poorest from participating in their financial system. Enter Trisha Martinez, the CEO of Walla. As the American daughter and Mexican immigrant, she was no stranger to income disparity and was raised acutely aware that it was her duty to create an impact with her work. She started a mission in Uganda, worked in poverty alleviation and bringing universal basic income to Ugandan farmers. Martinez quickly realized that it was difficult to provide these farmers with smaller amounts under the traditional system. So here's a quote right here. Crypto will be adopted globally. In the Western market, it is not solving an active problem. In Africa, where cash is king, crypto is the beacon of light for consumers. If designed correctly, consumers will adopt it aggressively, says Trisha Martinez. So it's very interesting. I think that those two projects right there in and of themselves, I think they're led by individuals who have the right motivations in mind. But let's be clear. I mean, obviously we're talking about a capitalistic society as far as when you talk about cryptocurrency. I know that we are. But that brings me to the next one, is Cardano. And so Cardano, to no surprise, I know I talked about that there is they actually been involved in Ethiopia in teaching their Haskell and teaching the program language. And here it talks about how they tapped John O'Connor to set up headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, with ambitions to expand into Uganda, Kenya, and South Africa. And O'Connor was the perfect man for the task, where skills and passions aligned. British raised and Oxford educated, John has remained loyal to his maternal Ethiopian roots and witnessed firsthand how land titling disputes and corruption have affected his family. So it goes on here to say that most African countries suffer from a deficit of trust. Countries that lack legacy systems and legacy infrastructures are countries that stand to benefit the most from this new technology, says John O'Connor, Director of African Operations at IOHK. So IOHK seeks to tackle Africa's development head-on, first in agriculture, looking to leapfrog hundreds of years of establishment and even launching its own supply chain for fair trade coffee. I think that's great. Cardano, I think, is positioned specifically perfectly for this particular endeavor because, as we already know, it is a third-generation cryptocurrency. It's going to be one that's going to allow individuals to participate collectively, like Charles Hoskinson has been beaten from his drum. We're about decentralization in cryptocurrency. This is about an us problem, not I'm the messiah, the one that's going to solve this issue. And then as we go further down here, what you'll see is there's a couple of StudX Wildlife, which is the youngest son of the president of South Africa, Tumelo Ramaphosa, is no stranger to turmoil. And again, he talks about the Bitcoin, but also in a partnership with IBM Cardano, StudX uses IoT, the Internet of Things, to discourage illegal poaching through the tracking and location of the animal, their heart rate, and other significant activity, all on chain. So StudX allows for ownership of the whole animal through a ERC 721 non-fungible token or fractional ownership through a ERC 20 token. So this is another opportunity, but again, partnering with Cardano, obviously using the ERC 20, ERC 721. And then we have Crypto Savannah. Crypto Savannah is another project that's here, that's working, is concentrating its efforts in Uganda. And this is another particular blockchain that is working with Cardano. Uganda has also recently partnered with Cardano and Binance to support the economic development of the country and ongoing impact initiatives. Now, what I like to say is the interesting thread is Cardano. Cardano is the common thread, the common denominator through all these projects. Now, certainly you have other two projects, the Sailor project, the Walla project, but you have Cardano that's smack dab in the middle of this country, that is putting their roots down, that's training individuals, and that is looking for solutions collectively. I think this is going to be a great opportunity long term for Cardano. I do expect it to continue to run higher. As you already see, we're trying to do the bottom process right now. I expect that Cardano will be much higher than what it debuted at in 2017 when it ran up to $1.27. It's going to get higher than that. So anybody will be kicking themselves if they didn't buy it here at this point. So, but be patient. It's not going to happen in one day, not even 1 year. It's going to take a few years for this to play out. So I think it'll be a little bit longer than many think, but I think your patience will be rewarded. All right. So, question of the day. What do you expect Cardano to do here next? Do you think they're going to continue to work within Africa, that continent, or going to continue to spread in Asia? I know Emergo is doing some things. We talked about that in the article. They got a number of arms that are making headway in certain areas. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time on Cop Your Coin.